All right, Lance Neuhauser here, president of Mediaocean, and I am joined by Melissa Grady, CMO of Cadillac. Melissa, it is thrilling to get a chance to talk to you today. I happen to be dialing in from one of our shared favorite places in the Chicagoland area, but where are you joining us from today?
I am in Manhattan today. We live mainly in New York, and so that is where I am today.
So let's start with some a little bit of softballs. Let's ease into the conversation just a little bit. Tell me how the last year has been. How have you been? How have you been dealing with some of the challenges? And perhaps most importantly, what's something positive that you've learned from the last year?
I don't think this past year has been a softball for anyone, really. But
I think not the year, just the questions. Yes.
No, I have to say, but it has obviously been a really tough year and a really big growing year for all of us, personally, professionally, as we've tried to work through all of this, as a country and as the world, just the things we've gone through. But I think what's been really fascinating to me is, as we take a step back, is how much we've learned about ourselves, about human nature, how we all come together in these moments. When I think, if you think about the first couple weeks, and right now we're exactly at that year point when everything shut down in the US, and all of we're in this together. I have memories of in Italy, them singing out of windows and watching that and all those human moments. And I think really taking stock of what's important, what does work-life balance or work-life integration mean? I think one of the things that's been really fun this year is fitness at home, and how we learn to do that at home. So obviously just a really big, crazy year. But I think we've learned a lot about ourselves and each other, which has been really positive.
Do you have a favorite fitness at home device or approach or app, or what are you using here?
So I have a SoulCycle bike that I absolutely love. And I also do a lot of Peloton workouts. So the Peloton strength workouts are really fun and I really love them. So, and then yoga with Adrian. So that's kind of my little trifecta right there.
You definitely have jumped into the future of fitness. Perhaps we can make as good of a transition as I can talking about the future. Perhaps you can help shed some light on what you think the future of advertising, and specifically omnichannel advertising, looks like. What does it mean to you and to your marketing organization? Tell me a little bit about your omnichannel journey.
Yeah, so when we look at omnichannel, I think what it really is it's the old adage, being at the right place at the right time with the right person, right? Like that's really what omnichannel is about. As we look at it, we really do it with a customer first focus. So where do people want to be interacting? Where are they? Especially as we talk about this past year, and how behaviors are changing. Omnichannel has expanded for us into things like gaming, into things like, we've done some things with 60-second docs and some interesting things with music. So it's really about understanding exactly where people are and when and how they want to hear from you as a brand, and then us trying to show up there and having the right insights, having the right technology, and having the right content, so that we can be there and show up differently and break through.
So Joanna from Forrester has been talking about the crawl, walk, run stages of moving into omnichannel, and how she just explained that it's obviously multifaceted. So I guess a two-part question. Where do you think you are along the journey? Are you crawling? Are you walking? Are you running yet? And then what are some of your key focus areas going forward?
Yeah, so I love the crawl, walk, run framework to kind of assess where you are. And someone on my team said that it's more like a fart-like run. So that is, if you're not familiar with it, when it's almost like interval training in a run. So you run really fast and then you run slower and then you run really fast. And this actually really helps you build up your performance really well. And I think as we look at running, because in a lot of ways, I think in a lot of ways, we're still in the crawl and walk, and in a lot of ways, we're in the run. But as we look at how we're running, we really try to sprint ahead, try new and innovative things, be at the forefront, but then we slow down and jog a little bit. We measure that working, and then we start sprinting again. And we're gonna, we kind of have this test, learn, then we're gonna optimize, and then we're gonna run right back into testing and learning.
So if we can get a little specific for a second, just to hit on those key focus areas a little bit more. You talked about the right time, the right place, right message. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but you also mentioned the sprints. Is there an area right now where you feel you are sprinting? And if so, what is it? And are there other areas where you feel like you really do need to take that kind of breather, collect yourself before you run again? By the way, I love that this whole thing became a fitness analogy all the way through. But yeah, those are the two questions I have for you for now.
Yeah. So I think the area where, as Cadillac, we're really blazing trails and leading the way is when you look at leaning into addressable connected TV audience first. So Cadillac, for even pre-pandemic, has defined who our audience is, and we've flipped the funnel, and we've flipped how we're doing targeting. So if you think about the old way of targeting, you would go out with linear, try to hit your reach and frequency, get as much as you can, and then go down through the funnel to digital and get into more of the, lower funnel, programmatic, really performance type metric things. What we do is we take that audience first and we understand where they are across the funnel. So we'll take the lower funnel, and we know that's a machine that just needs to be working because people are coming into market for vehicles all the time. But as we go up the funnel, we're looking at, from a TV perspective, through connected addressable TV platforms, how do we find that audience? And then how do we use linear TV more to be bigger branding, tentpole moments? We were just recently in the Super Bowl, and that gives us a moment to really tell a story. But then as people move through, we're really trying to redefine reach and frequency. So instead of saying we're hitting 80% of the people 2 times, what I want to look at is, what is my optimal frequency? And if that's 5, who are the people that I've reached 5 times? And then they're good. They don't want to hear from me anymore, and I don't need to be bothering them anymore. Who are the people that I've only reached 4 or 3 times? And where can I get that incremental reach to get that frequency there? And who have I not yet talked to that's in this audience that I want to talk to? And where do I then go to continue to get that reach? So the way that we're looking at it, I think we're running, and we've done, when we talk about the fart leg, we've sprinted into that. We've done some testing. We hold out control groups on some of the connected TV that we do, so that we can understand what the real impact is, not only of just the audience, but the creative. As I look at how do we redefine reach and frequency, how do we measure across all these platforms, that's where we, along with everyone else, are really crawling, because this cross-platform measurement is difficult today. I think, if we were to say that it's even possible, but it's difficult today. As we start looking into cookie deprecation, that's going to become more difficult. And so, as we look to the future, that's going to be a really interesting shift from how we're going to be able to see how effective we are across everything.
Yeah, I think that's a really astute and well said point. The world is certainly changing around us. I think the need for better math and science and not cookies to really understand the audience, so that it can be broken down exactly like you just said, which is start with the audience, understand how often you have connected with them or not, and figure out what you need to say to them again in order to continue to move them forward. But I think we all know that not all touch points are equal, especially when you realize not all brands are equal, and you happen to be representing a brand that is not not as equal as all others. I would go so far as to say, on many levels, much stronger than a lot of brands that are out there, and that's a credit to you and your organization. So help us understand a little bit more in terms of what the future holds for Cadillac as a brand, and if you can wind in there a little bit about the hot topic of electric vehicles, that'd be exciting for everyone to hear.
Well, you can't talk about the future of Cadillac without talking about the future of electric vehicles. So I think, you know, GM itself has made a commitment to an all EV future, and we have our vision of 0, 0, 0. As we look at Cadillac and where Cadillac fits into that, Cadillac is going to be the first all EV brand within General Motors. In fact, we will be all EV by the end of the decade. So as we look at zero crashes, zero emissions, zero congestion, Cadillac's really going to try to be leading the charge for that for GM. So we've got the Lyriq coming next year. If you haven't seen our Super Bowl spot, please go on YouTube, look at the Lyriq. It's pretty amazing. We have Edgar Scissorhands, who is driving that vehicle with Winona Ryder, his mother, and it's pretty incredible. And I think the other thing that that spot shows, or if you watch our Escalade spot, or even, I'll just keep going, we have some new content out, which is called Time to Let Go. But all of this, what all of this is showcasing is something that's pretty incredible technology, and that's Super Cruise. And Super Cruise is the first hands-free driving experience. And I'm taking my hands off the fake little wheel that's in front of me, but Super Cruise is pretty amazing. It is technology where the car stays in the lane. We now have lane changing. If you hit the turn signal, you'll change lanes, and it's absolutely amazing. There is this moment, and this is what Time to Let Go is all about. There's this moment the first time you take your hands off the wheel that is absolutely exhilarating, a little bit frightening for a moment until you see the vehicle taking care of you and itself. So I think as we really look towards the future, it's all about amazing leading technology and innovation, an all EV future, and really unbelievable design. And I know I may be biased, but when I look at the Lyriq, it is one of the most beautiful cars I've ever seen. I've never wanted a car as bad as I want that car.
Forget calling it a bias. How about calling it passion? We might be hundreds of miles away and we might be over a screen right now, but your passion is palpable, and I can feel how excited you are around the future of Cadillac. I know that Deborah Wall, the GM CMO, has made some big commitments as part of everybody in. You clearly seem in. So how do you see that playing out? And then I want you to pontificate for us a little bit around where you see the world in 5 years, and maybe you can even bridge a gap for us between how you see the world for Cadillac as a brand and how you see the world for omnichannel communications coming together.
Okay, I can talk about all those. So the first thing, I think when we look at GM, everybody in, it's really about GM going all EV, as I was talking about, and our mission that we have. As we look at that, I think the biggest things are, you know, consumer education and EV adoption. And a lot of the barriers to EV adoption are battery life, which our Ultium technology, we're going to have 300 miles of range on these. So that's a huge thing. Understanding charging. And I think anyone who's thought about driving an electric vehicle, myself included, in the past, you worry about, am I going to run out of battery? And what does that look like? And what does that mean? But really, because especially moving forward, we have so much range, you're not going to need to worry about it as much. You're going to go home, you're going to plug in your car. It almost becomes like plugging in your phone at the end of the day. And then you wake up in the morning and you have 300 miles of range. Now, when you're going longer, you're just going to plan out your journey, and we'll have a lot of tools to help you for along the way where you're going to need to go. The vehicles, the apps will all help you along that. So all of these things that have made having an electric vehicle a little bit more challenging are really going to be addressed. So I think when we look at everybody in, that's what we're really, that's where we really see the big shift and change coming as we go to this all electric future that we're really excited about. when I think about where the world will be in 5 years, and I think I'll start with personal, then go to vehicle, and then I'll go to what we were talking about. I think the first thing is I really hope that we've learned a lot of lessons from COVID, and we've changed a lot of things. And as I look at 5 years in the future, I'm really hoping that we've taken a lot of these things. We have this work-life integration. We feel like we are prioritizing the right things in life. One of the right things that I hope we're prioritizing will be going to an all-electric future. And I think when you look at 5 years, EV adoption is going to be so much better than it is today. And I think that the barriers to EV are really going to be broken down. As we look at technology and this cookieless world, what I hope is that it's actually going to lead us to a lot more consumer understanding and consumer consent, which is going to lead to a better ecosystem and a better experience for everyone. For us as marketers and understanding who we're talking to and that they want to speak to us, and for consumers who are going to start to say, this is when and how I want to interact with you and what that'll look like.
I love that, and I hate that we have to wrap up because I am absolutely enjoying talking to you, but I love that you are leaving us on a message of hope. I think everyone listening in here today obviously will be able to take away a few things. One, that you are passionate about the brand that you represent, and I think we all need a little bit more of that in our lives. And whenever we get a chance to experience that, it makes us feel better about the work that we're doing, even if it might be different work. And then I also think everyone's going to be able to take away the fact that large brands like yourself are leaning in to help change the industry and help communicate in a way that consumers are behaving. And they are at all touch points. They are looking for education, like you said, on subjects that they care about. And the fact that you guys are certainly everybody all in on making both of these a reality is exactly why we wanted to talk to you today. So cannot thank you enough for making time to be here with us. We truly appreciate you and everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.